This broadcast is a Stephen K. Media production.
The success of the small business person is the cornerstone of the American economy. Welcome to the Small Business Today Show with your hosts, Cruz and Hughes. The Small Business Today Show is for and about small business advancement and development. What we do for you. We'll be taking your calls as we provide you small business intelligence and mentorship needed to grow your business creatively. Keep listening. The Small Business Today Show with Cruz and Hughes starts now.
Hello and welcome back to today's episode of Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes right here on Blog Talk Radio. This is the place where we discuss the topics that inspires entrepreneurs from thought to action. My name is John Cruz.
I'm Irv Hughes.
And today you're listening to the dynamic duo. I just got back in from vacation. I went to Costa Rica for a little while, but I'm back. It feels good to be back. If you guys would like to join our conversation today, you can feel free to call us in the studio at 347-857-3958. Again, that number here to the studio is 347-857-3958. Well, Irv,
you're back.
I'm back.
Well, you know, I'm excited for our audience, our listening audience, man. I'm like, man, Batman is back in town.
Well, I tell you what, you know, if you've never heard of a black man getting a sunburn, then you haven't seen me. I went fishing in Costa Rica, and you know, it's their rainy season.
Right.
So the guy told us that it was probably going to be overcast all day. We might hit a little rain, but don't let that scare us.
Sure.
Well, it was that way when we left the beach. But once we got, 50 miles out, it was just sun. And so I fished down on the edge of the boat, and boy, did I cook like a piece of bacon.
You look a little scalded, man.
Well, I am. I'm in a little bit of pain, but not too much I can't do the show.
You know, John, a lot of people think black people don't burn.
Oh, we burn.
Yep.
Yeah, you leave us out there long enough, we will definitely burn.
Now, are you peeling yet up here?
Yeah, I am. I'm peeling a little bit. I'm applying a lot of lotion and oil so that it doesn't look, as bad.
Well, that's good because, we're broadcasting on Ustream.tv, and some of our listening audience and our viewers, man, they would want to see you in John Cruz form.
Yeah, not flaking and peeling and but nonetheless, it's good to be back. The batteries are recharged. The trip was necessary, but man, I really missed you guys. It was good, but I'd much rather be here with you all.
Now, last week was on Friday was Soapbox Friday, and one of my soapboxes was that you were gone fishing to Costa Rica without me. Now, I have to say this: I'm hoping that you actually caught something that you enjoyed catching.
Well, we caught some tile, and we caught lots of grouper.
Grouper, that's good fish there.
We caught a bucket load of grouper.
Really?
And it had to be about the biggest one was something like this.
Oh.
But we caught a lot of them, They were small, but boy, were they tasty.
I really, man, with your arm span, I started thinking, man, you got something about the length of our broadcast office here.
No, not at all. And we all had dreams of grandeur once we were out there on the water that we were going to probably pull a swordfish out of the ocean or something, but it was nothing like that. It was just grouper. I think the biggest one was probably 14 inches, 15 inches long.
That's pretty good.
But nonetheless, we got a chance to, drink a few beers and sit out there off the coast of Costa Rica for a little while.
How cool is that? Yeah. Well, I tell you what, that's one of the benefits of being in your own business. Now, did you have to call anybody and ask permission to be off that long?
No, I didn't. Matter of fact, I didn't even call you to tell you until a couple hours before I left.
A couple hours before you left. That's why I was my soapbox, man. But that's all right, man. I'm just really thrilled, man, that you had a chance to get a break out there. Now, how far out did you go out in the ocean there?
We went about just shy of 100 miles.
100 miles.
Yeah.
Now you're in the Gulf of Mexico, right?
Well, I guess you could consider that somewhat the Gulf. It's more we were on the Caribbean side of
Okay,
Costa
gotcha.
Rica,
Okay.
so that ocean side. Let's
It's
say
hard
that.
to tell which ocean you were in
Yeah,
at
it,
that
it
far
was so
out.
much water. It
You,
was, we just didn't see any land. But it was really humbling.
yeah, oh, no doubt.
And I tell you what, it really makes you feel. Going to other countries makes you feel so good to be an American
Yeah.
citizen. It just that there's so many things that we take for granted in this country, and you
Sure.
don't get an opportunity to see what those things are until you go somewhere
Right.
where they're not as available.
Boy, isn't that the truth? It's one of the best feelings in the world is when you've left this country, John, and you've been away for a minute or two, and I literally mean a minute or two. It doesn't take very long.
That's right, a few days.
That's right, and you get the opportunity to come back. I don't know about you, but I can tell you, man, when you get to show your passport or your U.S. ID that you're a U.S. citizen, and they whisk you on past the
Feels
gate.
good.
That's a good feeling,
Yes,
man.
it
It's just
is.
for a few seconds, man, but you are happy to be back, because I've thought about instances what could happen if you lost your ID.
Oh man. Oh, they would have to let me back
Yep.
in.
They would have to let you
I'd
back.
be screaming everybody's name who I didn't know, but I knew would have the power to get me in.
The president says I need to be back.
I got to be back. I got to do this show. We got people out there in small business who need to hear this level of strategy. So,
That's exactly right. No,
so what do you want
that's
to talk about today?
Well, I thought that you were going to come back with some huge fish story,
Not at all.
and so I did this. I had this whole thing in mind that we would do today, and it's Monday, of course, and so I was excited about us talking about fishing.
All right, we can talk about fishing.
Yeah, because you know what, in small business, folks, a lot of people spend a lot of time fishing for new business in the wrong ponds.
I would have to say that you're absolutely spot on with
And how frustrating is that to find out that you spent all this time, energy, effort, money, personnel, manpower, if you will, and you were fishing in the wrong ponds. You were fishing for customers, prospects, and opportunities that didn't really fit your core capability.
That's right.
Or you didn't do your homework, and that's why you were fishing in the wrong place. And, I was just thinking about, while you were out fishing, you guys were smart enough to get yourself a guide.
Yeah.
And I'm going to guess, I wasn't there, but I'm going to guess somebody did a little bit of research on which guide to pick.
Not only did we do research, we also talked to a lot of the locals. We had a guide in mind,
right?
Based on our research here from the States, but there's nothing that beats a person who's grown up in that area,
right,
who's been fishing and who knows who the best fishermen are.
Absolutely. And the key I think we ought to talk about today, John, is doing your business homework, doing that business research. It's the thing that separates, I believe, John, really the pros from the amateurs.
I would have to say so.
The people who have taken the time to do the homework, to minimize the amount of time that they're guessing, to minimize the amount of time that they've, sifting through just tons and tons of opportunities. I know people that just send bids out, for example.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, should you even be bidding on that?
Right.
Or should you be knocking on that door? Or should you be trying to form a relationship there? What research did you do? How do you quantify what was a good place to fish?
Yeah.
What you did is you guys went and got yourself a guide who already knew.
That's right.
Where's the best place to fish? And guess what? You caught fish.
We caught fish.
That's right.
And that's what we were paying for. And I think that you're making a great analogy using that fishing story.
Sure.
But it's definitely something that's very important to being in business, is finding that person who can help you. Is one aspect of it, but you want to make sure that you're doing your homework to know that you're fishing in the areas that are going to maximize, or rather give you the highest and best result for your efforts.
Right. And with that said, now, one of the things that I noticed you said is that you caught buckets of fish.
Yeah.
All right. So you quantified how many fish you caught.
Yes, we did.
Okay. So that's why you felt like it was worth the expenditure of resources, because you got buckets of fish. In other words, that was your return.
That's right.
Now, I have to ask this question. Now you got buckets of fish. So you went, you got your guide, you fished in the right places. In fact, you caught fish, so you had results, and you got buckets of fish, right?
That's correct.
All right. So now, question, What did you do after you had the fish?
Well, once we got the fish, the guide filleted them, scaled them all, washed them, put them in some plastic sacks for us. We walked as soon as we got back to the beach. We walked right across the beach to a restaurant, gave them the fish. They fried them all for us, and we ate fish right there until the sun went down on the beach.
So you ate fish, so you cashed them.
We cashed them.
That's exactly right. Now, here's the point, and the point of the analogy is obvious here, is that you took the time to now go out, execute on what your research told you. You brought back buckets of fish, so you quantified your results and determined that your investment was worth it.
That's correct.
And now you came back to enjoy the fruits of the investment that you made, the returns.
And not only enjoy it, we split it up amongst all the people who also made the investment. Since there were, 5 of us fishing?
5 fishing.
So all of us made certain that we ate our share according to how much time we invested in the trip. So
that's awesome.
Everyone was happy.
So everyone was happy. So that was, not only was it the benefit of research, but it was a group effort.
It was a group effort.
So
we couldn't have done it alone.
So some people on the team actually did some research, and some people, I would guess, made sure that they'd made the travel arrangements, and some people made sure that they brought this or that. So it was a group effort to make that.
Group effort, and everybody won.
It's amazing. It's absolutely amazing. So anyway, today, folks, we're using the fish story, John's fish story, to set up today's show in helping you understand how not to waste valuable time and resources fishing in the wrong pond.
Guys, we're going to go to break. When we come back, we're going to have more information for you on this topic. You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes, which is brought to you by Small Business Today magazine. To get your free issue of what we do for Houston's entrepreneurs, you can go to smallbusinesstodaymagazine.com. More in a moment with Cruz and Hughes. Don't go away.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash, I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now,
Excuse me, heavy news?
you know, disasters, politics, stock market,
And this alternative is...
coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's coffee news.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan.
The storm's coming.
The legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm Gotham Directed. The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruiseandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Okay, welcome back to the show, guys. If you ever want to go to our website, you can put your information in right from cruiseandhughes.com. Put your information in. Irv and I are working on a series of, what would you call these?
It's a series of, I guess, events and shows.
For business information. Right. We're calling them, I don't know. Because
here's the thing.
I'm just drawing a blank here.
Well, they're really for the benefit of business intelligence.
That's correct.
That's the benefit of it. That's what we're doing. But the idea is we're going to make this intelligence available, both video, radio, and in person.
Now we're talking about a newsletter, but it's really it's really more than just that. It's more information that we are going to provide for you. But if you go in at cruiseandhughes.com, put your information in, we'll definitely send that information to you as we produce it, and hope that you enjoy it. Remember, this show is for and about you.
Right.
If there's something that we can do to help your business, if there's a certain expert or there's certain knowledge that may be beyond what Irv and I possess, let us know. We'll go and get the answers for you. What we do here is done for you. So definitely play your role in letting us know how we can best serve you.
Absolutely. And you folks, you got to remember, we're part of the media. So the truth is that if there's somebody you would like to maybe even hear as a guest on the show, let us know who that is. Maybe, we can reach out to those folks and invite them to be a guest on the show and really share some of that information and expertise with you.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, what do you want to do? You want to move along here, John?
Let's get started. We're talking about wasting your time fishing in the wrong ponds. You don't want to extend valuable resources, especially limited valuable resources, because I think that's what most of us possess as small business people. And we have to be certain that when we do extend our resources, we put ourselves in the absolute best chance to win. And that's what we're talking about today. So as far as it relates to doing your business homework,
right.
What are your thoughts on that? When you say business homework?
When I say business homework, folks, I'm talking about research. I'm talking about doing the gut level research and finding out the information that the amateurs don't take the time to find out. A lot of people tell me, John, well, I don't have time for that because I'm busy making money. Well, guess what? That is going to run out real soon. Mm-hmm. All right? You have to stay ahead of your competition. And one of the ways that you do that, folks, is by doing the business research, literally doing the homework to ferret out that information that the other guy didn't get or didn't take the time to do. And making sure that you find the information that gives you something to base your assumptions on. We all in business, we all kind of start out with some assumptions that we assume that our product or service is going to be valuable for somebody.
Right.
And so we kind of go about identifying which of those sectors might our product and service best fit. But I want to break this down and make it very simple in that basically, folks, at the very top levels, there are only two sectors that customers can come from when you're in a small business. That's the public sector, meaning government, and the private sector, meaning corporations and private businesses and individuals and so on. So with that said, with the public sector, be mindful that when you are doing your research, one of the coolest things about the public sector is it's public and all its information is public. And, a lot of people, unfortunately, don't use public sector sources to do their research, even if you're going for a private sector type of opportunity. You can do your research in the public sector. And let me break down what I mean by that. If a private company has ever sold anything to a government agency, hello, this is valuable, folks. Guess what? Their prices are public now. That's public information. All right. And you can make requests to government agencies to go about the business of pulling up what's called a bid tabulation. It's a tabulation or how they went about deciding on who was going to win a particular contract or so on. The reason why I say that's important is because not only do you find out from the bid tabulation who your prospective competitors are, respective competitors are, you also get the benefit of seeing what they bid on a particular item.
Why is that important?
And that's important because now you get to determine how to position yourself competitively based on some data and not just some guess where you're sort of guessing about where your pricing should be. Now you can automatically have some sort of criteria on which to base your pricing to see if your pricing is in fact competitive. Now you're not basing your pricing model on nothing at all.
So then it's safe to assume then, Irv, that if you are wanting to get that information, you can get it from school districts, you can get it from your federal government, your local government. So all of that information is made available to the to any small business.
That's exactly right. Now, different levels of government, John, have different ways that you can go about getting that information. Believe it or not, some of these agencies just go ahead and post bid tabulations just right online, and you can search for them. And if you are good at Google, or even sort of good at Google, you can literally put in keyword government bid tabulation and search for PDFs, because they usually use PDFs to do this. And you can pull up PDFs that you can even put in your zip code or your city name, and you can pull up some bid tabulations that may be already posted by your local area government agencies. But there are basically 7 levels of government where you can get research information on pricing and who those competitors are. Number 1 is federal, obviously. Number 2 is state. Number 3, county and city. Number 4, colleges and universities. Number 5, independent school districts. Number 6, transit authorities. These are your metros, your metro transit authorities, your public transit authorities, subways, buses and trains, that sort of thing. And then port authorities. If you happen to live in a coastal city where your port is a really big industrial port, then you probably have a port authority there who is overseeing activities going on at the port, and those are great places to go fishing for information.
And so those are the 7 levels of government. There's nothing else outside of that.
No, generally those are the 7 levels of government, really. And I should say, John, I'm glad you said that, 7 levels of government, and each of these layers of government exist in all 50 states.
Yeah.
So if you're in Hawaii, or if you're in Maine, if you're in Florida, or if you're in Southern California, you have federal, state, county, city. You have all of those levels of government operating right around you right now.
I'm going to tell you how important it is for you to take information and use it to your benefit as a small business. You cannot, in the 21st century, run your business just by the seat of your pants. And by that, I mean whereby you are just guessing at what the market will bear pay for your product or service. You have to back up your pricing strategy with bona fide research. And this is what we're talking about today. Where do you go and get that research? Now, some may say, Irv, that, well, I have no intention on doing business with the public sector, with the government.
Right.
But this still can be beneficial information for you, because now you're able to see what levels of pricing have won bids for the government.
Correct.
So if you could also model that for doing business with larger private corporations,
that's correct.
It would give you an indication of what's acceptable.
That's exactly
and what has been awarded and approved in the past.
That's exactly right. And incidentally, folks, we're talking about research here. That doesn't mean that you're going to do this research just so you can do business with any of these government entities. It might be not a part of your plan at all to ever do any business in the government. So understand what we're saying is collecting data. I'm saying that in the public sector, because that data is public, what you need is data to base your decisioning on.
Right.
And base your models on. And that's a great place to start fishing for that kind of data in the public sector. Now, the public sector is broken down, of course, into 3 big categories. Of course, we just talked about all the different government, the levels of government. But then the second big public space is education.
Mm-hmm.
Education. The government spends money on education, and anything that the government is spending money on, the government keeps data on. All right. So even though you might be looking to sell your products and services in specifically to school districts or colleges, universities, or something like that, some of you guys have products and services that could be very, very valuable in the education sector. And what I'm getting at is one of the big ways to go about winning business is to understand where money is going to be spent before it's spent.
Yeah.
That way you're not chasing money. And that's a big thing. That's a soapbox of mine. A lot of business people find out that they, find themselves chasing money, and you can never catch it, because here's the tip, folks. If you find yourself chasing money, guess what? It's already past you.
Money's too fast. You can't chase money.
Money's too fast. You can't chase money.
You got to set yourself up or position yourself so that you're run smack over by money. That's right. Really what you have to do.
You have to get in the way of the flow of money.
Now, Cal has a question. Before we go to break, I definitely want to address this question. Cal wants to know how much of a difference in price point for government bid tabulation versus what the private sector will normally pay.
Excellent question.
Very good question.
Excellent question. And Cal, it really has to do with quantities purchased. All right. Remember that government pricing usually involves very large quantities, and that's why the bid tabulation is so important, because now on that bid tabulation, the second piece of data on there that's very, very important is how much did they buy to get that particular price.
Right.
And then you use that pricing model to scale your pricing, and generally that means that your pricing is going to scale upward depending on the quantities that you're selling.
The downside to that, though, as well, is that the private sector does not publish what they're paying for products and services.
That's correct.
There's some other creative ways that you have to try to come by that information, but I don't know that there exists a formula or a ratio for what that percentage would be, depending on what industry you're in.
Well, no, but there is a way to get really, really close, and maybe we'll talk about that when we come back.
Stick around.
All right, stick around. Folks, you're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes, and it's brought to you by the Lexington Law Firm. Listen, when you need credit help, get a free consultation today by calling 888-744-7081. That's 888-744-7081. The Lexington Law Firm can help you. We'll return in just a moment.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash. I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now,
Excuse me, heavy news?
you know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
free.
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan,
The storm's coming.
the legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm Gotham Reckoning. The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
Oh, man. Welcome back to the show. We're sitting here laughing it up. I love reading some of the stuff that comes across in this chat forum.
That's right.
But nonetheless, there was a question that we were trying to address for Cal going into the break. Why don't we wrap that up?
Yeah. The question had to do with, private sector pricing and how do you kind of arrive at that because many private sector companies, corporations don't publish, their, bid price and, whatever it is that they may have bid on a particular private sector opportunity. And what I was saying when we went to break was there's actually a way to at least zero in on the neighborhood. You can't get to the penny, but boy, you can get awfully close. And one of the things that you do is if it's a large corporation, especially folks, if it's a publicly traded company, you can literally pull down the reports from the SEC. There's a hint there. You can pull down their quarterly reports from the SEC, which has their financial statements on it. All right. Now, once you get their financial statements, unfortunately, you have to know how to read financial statements. But the point is you can look at what their gross sales were for the quarter. All right. You can take a look at what they sell because they're going to publish the information on what it is they sell. And you may even be able to find out, depending on how that financial statement is broken down, it's broken down differently now, but you'll be able to see how much money in sales that they generated from each particular sector, or even a holding company. If it's a holding company and it's got a bunch of subsidiaries, you can zero in on the subsidiary that competes with you. So what am I getting at? There is a way to even dig down. It takes a few steps to do, but yes, there's a way to do the research to even get into what somebody may be charging for private sector companies, but there's some steps involved.
And even if you feel that your pricing is competitively matched with everyone else in your market, I would still do this research just to see where you stand on a larger platform in terms of, even if you don't do business with with any type of municipality.
That's right.
I would still do it just to see exactly where you are. Are you in the ballpark? And one of the things that I really dislike with small business people, Herb, is that they become so complacent in terms of finding one supplier.
Yep.
And as long as that supplier does a halfway decent job, they will not risk trying a new supplier, even if it's a supplier that may be in a different state or a different county or even in a different country.
That's exactly right. And I love your word, John, complacency, because you know what? That's what it is, folks. You should never, ever stop digging for this information. Listen, folks, we're in an information-driven world. Data. That is what you need, because if you don't have data and you're trying to run and grow a small business, that means that you're basing decisions on nothing at all.
Right.
And that is what we encourage you on this show to get away from. Get away from making management decisions, business decisions that aren't based on anything. You have to make these decisions based on something, so that if and when something goes wrong, you know how you got there and now you can adjust. Without that data, it makes it very difficult for you to adjust and move on.
All right, if you're just joining the show, we've just talked about identifying target sectors. We talked about those 7 levels of government.
Right.
We've talked about the 3 major areas that you need to be apprised of. And we've covered some private sector information as well. Now, let's talk about goals. I mean, when you're doing this research, Irv, what's it all for?
Yeah, a lot of people ask this question about, well, Irv, you're saying, hey, go out here and dig for all this information, and I can dig for information. I can go out on the internet, I can find this stuff, and now I got all this data, but I don't know what it means. I don't know what it is I should have been looking for. And one of the big things, I'll just give you guys a list, but we'll go through that. But the big thing you want to find out from your research is supposed to tell you what goods and services are targeted expenditures. And what do I mean by that? You need to find out where money is going. Find out who is buying what. Right? And then how much is slated to be spent in your particular area. How cool is that? Can you imagine? We're talking about finding enough information so that you can know where to fish, right? Well, guess what, folks? If I find out that there's a particular sector that's declining, in other words, now money is coming out of the sector, people aren't spending money in that particular sector, and I'm in that sector, what do? Well, guess what? I'd like to know that is happening so that I can adjust.
Absolutely.
So many times small business people don't do this research, and they can't tell that they are literally, John, in a sector that's declining. And so now they can't adjust. Conversely, if you're in a sector that's growing where pricing and profitability are increasing and you don't know that, guess what? You could wind up being the cheapest guy in town, and wouldn't that be great for you, except now you don't make the money you should have made.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So in either case, being without this data can get you in worlds of trouble simply because now you've either missed an opportunity, or worse, you're on a train that's headed for a brick wall,
right?
Because you simply didn't know. And so one of the goals is to find out what goods and services are targeted for expenditures. In other words, where are companies, be they public or private, where are they looking to spend some money? And let me just give you a hint, folks. The media is a great place to go and start fishing for information. What do we mean by that? If you simply take a few minutes each day, which I do, by the way, I practice this. Take a few minutes each day and just watch any of the news shows for the business information. And, there are whole channels that put out business information,
sure,
right, on television or what have you, radio. And listen for the sectors that are declining, okay? And listen enough, and it's going to take you probably 30 days to do this, but you want to listen for a few minutes every day so that you can make you a list of whichever sectors, and there are only 8 or 10 sectors, okay, of which ones are doing well and which ones aren't. Once you know what those sectors are, now you can break those down into what's called NAICS codes. Those are industry codes, and you can find the ones that match up with yours, all right? And so where you want to find NAICS codes, and if you don't know what your NAICS code is, NAICS, it's North American Industry Coding System. That's what NAICS stands for. You can go to census.gov, put in some keywords to describe your business, and that will give you what your NAICS code is. Now you can do research just on that code to see, is that a sector that's growing or not? And that's one of the pieces of research that you want to find out. Secondly, you want to find out what goods and services are being cut. Boy, that's another one. What if you're selling something, and guess what? Maybe you sell a whole bunch of things. Maybe you got a Walmart approach, so you sell some of everything, but then you find out one of your particular product lines is declining and being cut from the budgets of large public or private sector entities. Well, what do? Do you want to inventory that?
No.
I don't think so.
No, you don't. And as you bring up this point, I'm just reminded of the fact that sometimes we all tend to live in a vacuum,
right?
Where we think that our business is end all be all,
right?
And we rarely look at how we match up in the grand scheme of things.
Correct.
And as you talk about these industries that are either expanding or declining, if you talk about certain products or services that are either growing or declining, you have to know where you stand in relation to everybody else.
That's correct.
And that gives you so much more information in terms of how to grow your business. You can't grow a business without knowing if your product or service is in demand or not.
That's exactly right.
And just because it's in demand in your little hamlet does not mean that it's in demand as a sector.
That's
which
right.
means that there's long-term sustained growth for your industry nationwide, worldwide. So
Right.
you want to pay attention to this information. I know that some people will say that, Irv, that when I'm trying to make a living here and I'm selling these widgets.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm just concerned on how many widgets I can get out the door.
That's right.
That's great for that particular day.
That's
but
right.
some time has to be invested in doing the research and knowing where you're going. Is this something that's growing or declining, and what are those reasons why? And I'll say this: if you're in an industry that is in fact declining, you need to now start looking for ways and options that you can parlay what it is that you do into something else. What industry are you most closely associated with?
Right.
Or what product or service is very similar to yours that you could easily bridge over and start working your way into something else that could be experiencing some growth? That's
exactly right. John, let me ask you a question. Are you old enough to remember something called a zip disk?
Yes, I am.
Now, there were very large companies manufacturing something called the zip disk. And if I remember correctly, the big zip disks held about 100 megabytes of data.
Yeah.
All right.
Which is nothing.
Which is nothing today. And here's the point. What if you based your entire business and your family's future and your future and all of your employees' future on manufacturing of the zip disk?
Yeah.
The zip disk, folks, was something that was akin to the floppy disk, but it held more data and required something called a zip drive.
That's right.
So if you made zip drives and you didn't make zip disks, those were two sectors that literally disappeared.
That's right. And you think about it, there are a lot of people that get into a business, they start having some success, especially as it relates to technology.
Oh, that's right.
And things change so fast in the technology sector, but you have to constantly be on the cusp of what's coming next.
That's correct.
You can't just sit still and say that, hey, we sold 20 million VCR tapes in 1984.
That's right.
But in 2004, nobody wants them.
That's right.
I mean, and as you put it earlier, is this something that you continue to warehouse? Is this something that you continue to invest in? Because once the market changes, and some markets turn on a dime,
that's right.
You could be found standing when the music stops playing.
Well, that's exactly right. And speaking of that, when we come back, we'll talk about what to do to adjust in our next segment, because a lot of times, folks, you might find yourself in a situation where, hey, now you gotta adjust. You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes, brought to you by GrowSocial.com. Maximize your social media like Facebook and Twitter for your business. Call Grow Social at 877-484-3961. The education continues in a moment.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
Or even worse,
we've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
So how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash. I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now,
Excuse me, heavy news?
you know, disasters, politics, stock market.
And this alternative is...
Coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan, the legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today. Visit us on the web at cruzandhughes.com. Here are your hosts, Cruz and Hughes.
Okay, welcome back to the show. Irv and I have been talking about making certain that you're fishing in the right ponds as it relates to getting business.
Right.
And which is very important. Now, this really calls for you to do a degree of research on your industry, on your sector, and not only in your city or your town or your county. We're asking that you broaden your research and just see where you stand as an individual in your business in relation to the entire country.
That's exactly right. And, you know, when we went to break, we were kind of talking about what are you going to do to adjust if you find out that your pricing model or your business model is obsolete or one of those industries that's declining.
That's right.
And it's important, folks, that one of the goals in your research is to find out who are the incumbents in your particular space. Who are your incumbent competitors? And what we mean by incumbent is who is dominating your space. Who is that? Who is the biggest, baddest dude in your particular space? You want to know who that is, and you want to understand their pricing. Now, 2 reasons for this. One, you may want to come up with a strategy to counter whatever they're doing. And guess what? You being a small business, you have the advantage here. Yes, you have the advantage here because you're nimble. You're able to move. You're able to adjust. Second, you may be in a situation where now you need to reach out to them to try to form some sort of an alliance or partnership where you can eliminate that whole competitive idea, and now you team up with the biggest and baddest in your particular space. And that's why you want to know about their particular pricing.
You know, when I can remember when I was starting my mortgage business, and this was before I became a banker. I was just a broker. I was selling somebody else's money before I started selling my own. And one of the things that I wanted to know was not only who were the largest players in the game, but why were they the largest?
Absolutely.
Why did my customer feel more comfortable going to these brands versus coming to me?
Sure.
And I think that in your business, you need to ask yourself those same questions. Who is that player? Who are those major players? Why are they major? Why is the customer so happy to do business with them? And then what opportunities exist that they're not exploiting? And that takes some time. It takes you to start thinking and maybe even talking to other people who do the same thing that you do. But there has to be a way that you can take advantage of some growth opportunity in your business that could put you or pit you shoulder to shoulder with those big companies.
Absolutely. And
it's not always money.
No, it's not always money. And that it's about value. And we talk about value a ton on this show, but it's about value. Next, you want to find out who is responsible for making these purchases. If you find out that money is going a particular way in a particular budget, you want to find out who's got the purse strings, right? Mm-hmm. You want to find out who is going to be responsible for making these purchases. And then lastly, you want to find out in your research is what kinds of purchasing methods are being employed or being implemented to make these purchases. Is it going to be by bid? Is it going to be contract? Is it going to be just transactional? How how are these procurements being made? It's important that you understand that, because that's the only way you can position yourself with people in your particular industry.
Let me ask you this, Irv. Now, let's say that I'm a business person and I am just so wrapped up in the day-to-day operations of my business.
Right.
But I do see the point in which that it's important to know these things that you and I are discussing today. But where can I shortcut this whole process?
Right. Excellent question. Excellent question. Folks, there are online resources where you can do a little bit of work and really drill down and do this stuff yourself. Or, of course, you can always hire somebody. But in the case where you might have limited resources, you want to do some of this work yourself, I want to give a couple of websites that you can go to that really keeps a ton of data, all for free, compliments of your taxpayer dollars. And the first one is www.USA, United States of America, USAspending.gov. Now, this is a website that's just recently been out there since 2012, this year. And basically, the goal of the website is to provide transparency on federal spending. Mm-hmm. All right, so the Obama administration, that's one of the big things. They generate websites. They just do, because that's what they want to communicate with you. And that's a good thing in the small business sector, because that means more data is readily available to you for free. So usaspending.gov. And then the other one, believe it or not, John, is www.census.gov. And then you can go to governments if you want to look at where your state and local government spending is going to be. You can go to census.gov/govs, Govs with an S, and that also includes state and local government spending as well. And then for private sector spending, I got a really great place to go, and that's called Report Linker. That's LINKER, reportlinker.com. And this is all kinds of corporate and private sector reports that crunch numbers on spending by corporate and private sector customers
on all sorts of products and services.
You literally pick your sector, and then you can pull down reports, spending reports on where their budgets have indicated that they're going to be spending money.
Now, do you need to know your NAICS code to be able to properly use this?
Yeah, you absolutely want to go to census.gov first and then pull your NAICS code, because that's going to cut down a lot of time with you sifting through data that's irrelevant to you in your industry.
And we've said this in other shows, but I also want to make certain that we point out again, since we're talking about NAICS codes, is that it's also very good for you to know if you are in the process of looking for money, when you can speak to your banker and or an investor intelligently on the performance of your industry for the past so many years and where it's possibly headed for the next so many years.
Boy, that is absolutely true, John. And let me tell you what, folks, if you're looking for money, and I'm glad you brought up money in this particular
one of our favorite
segment.
topics.
That's right. It is our favorite topic here. Folks, you got to understand that in a lot of cases, lenders, investors, private and public sector lending institutions may have eliminated all kinds of industries out of their lending portfolio. In other words, each lender has something called a preferred industry. It's an industry that they know well, that they understand, and that they're comfortable lending money into. And if you don't know what your NAICS code is, you don't know how to communicate to them, here is what my industry sector is doing, here is how well it's doing. They can't determine a lot of times how much in losses that, how much risk they're taking just because of you're in that same industry.
Right.
And then if you know let's say you're in an industry where maybe there have been losses. Now you can at least position yourself and say, but look, here's what I'm doing to reduce those risks.
Mm-hmm.
And that's vitally important. So,
and that says a lot about you as a person. Because think about it, when a banker or your investor invests in the company, yes, they're giving that money to the company, but certainly they're investing in you. And it would make me feel comfortable as an investor to know exactly that you know exactly where you stand as it relates to your industry.
That's exactly right. And with that said, a lot of people have some concern about budget cuts and this kind of thing, cutting government spending. Well, guess what, folks? If you're worried about cutting government spending, sell to the government, and then guess what? Save them some money. Doesn't mean don't sell to the government.
Right.
I am stunned at the number of people who say, well, I don't want to go into the government sector because they're cutting budgets. Well, guess what? Bring some value.
Yeah.
That'll help us save some money. If you want to shrink the government, guess what? Bring some value to the government and sell that. Sell your particular money-saving solution to the government, and they would be really happy to see you. That's for sure. You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. It's brought to you by Ring Central. To get Ring Central's virtual PBX for your business, call 888-716-5022. That's Ring Central Virtual PBX. Folks, stay with us. We're in the home stretch. We'll be back in just a moment.
Turn up the sales on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Anything Internet will evaluate your website for marketing power, for traffic, for conversion rates. We'll figure out why people buy and why people go away. We'll help you generate the correct traffic that will turn into customers and make you money. Turn the juice up on your website today with anythinginternet.com. Turn your website into a web business. 1-800-686-5986.
Very often, people come to me saying,
Stephen, how do I make radio advertising work?
or even worse,
We've tried radio ads before and got little to no response.
so how do you make the radio work for you? Well, you could have a clever jingle.
Come buy my stuff. Come buy my stuff.
Or you may act crazy and loud and have an unbeatable offer.
I'll save you cash. I'll save you time, and I'll do it today, guaranteed.
But these techniques may work for some and not for others. The real key to advertising is to go back to basic marketing principles. Target your ideal prospect, make your message clear and concise, and touch the listener by connecting to their needs. Stephen K. Media specializes in radio advertising promotion that effectively broadcasts your company's message, yielding higher response and better results. As an independent agency representing major talk radio stations, we help you negotiate rates and place your ads targeting your ideal prospect. Call us today at 713-278-9109 or visit stephenk.biz. That's 713-278-9109 or email info@stephenk.biz. Are you looking to improve your health and well-being? Have you lost your energy and vitality? Do you wake up feeling 10 years older than you actually are? Looking for a doctor who really listens? Looking for a natural alternative to your chronic health challenge? Dr. Dan Cooney is a chiropractic nutritionist who helps restore your health from the inside out using whole food supplements and specific nutritional counseling. Learn more about Dr. Dan's 7 Pillars of Health on his website, drdancooney.com, or give him a call at 713-295-9358.
Introducing the alternative to heavy news. Now at,
Excuse me, heavy news?
you know, disasters, politics, stock market,
And this alternative is...
coffee news. It's entertaining stories, famous quotes, and family fun. It's light news. Why it's so light, it's free.
Free?
In restaurants and coffee shops all across Houston. So next time you're waiting in a restaurant, look for coffee news. If they don't have it, tell them to get it by visiting coffeenewshouston.com.
It's light. It's free. It's coffee news.
Now playing at Regal Entertainment Group Theaters.
From Christopher Nolan, the legend ends in IMAX. What are you? I'm Gotham Reckoning. The Dark Knight Rises. Rated PG-13. Visit IMAX.com for showtimes and listings.
Go to www.regmovies.com to find showtimes and buy your tickets to this and other great feature films now. That's www.regmovies.com.
You're listening to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. Follow us on LinkedIn, Facebook, and Twitter. We're wherever you are.
Okay, welcome back to the show. We're talking about having you fishing in the right ponds, not wasting your time, not extending valuable resources, doing things that aren't going to yield you the highest and best return for your business. That's what today's show has been about. Now, Irv, we only have a couple minutes left.
Yeah.
Now, let's go to your last point.
Yeah, last point is, you know what, if you need help with this and trying to get you some research going, you can always hire a couple of bid research companies. There's a couple of them out there that are really, really great to use. And this is if you're looking in the government sector. If you're looking in the private sector, you certainly want to check your local area newspapers and the classifieds, usually on the Sunday paper. You want to look in the back, and there are bids, proposals, and notices listed there. And also, attend some government-sponsored events if you want to sell to the government. Understand that government-sponsored events draw private companies. Mm-hmm. And some of the folks who will be there trying to sell to the government might be some companies that you want to sell to, even though they're private sector companies. So don't rule those out.
Now, you mentioned two locations that they could go to get some bid research information.
Yeah, bid research.
What are those web addresses?
Yeah, that one of them is www.findrfp. Okay, that's request for pricing or proposal.com, findrfp.com, and the other one is www.federalandstatebids.com.
That'll do it. I mean, you know, when you think about it, that information can really be life-saving. And I'm going to tell you what it does as well. It gives you so much perspective on where you should be driving your ship. If you're not doing this type of research, it's as if you're looking through a windshield that has been blacked out, you know, or grayed out. You can only see to the edge of your car, as it were.
Right.
But now knowing this information, it sort of opens things up and it lets you know how to navigate in and around the pitfalls of business.
That is absolutely correct. And folks, I just encourage you, do your homework. Spend 30 minutes a day and do a little bit of homework every day. You'll do fine.
Guys, I want to thank you for tuning in to Small Business Today with Cruz and Hughes. I'm John Cruz.
I'm Irv Hughes.
And this is the place where we discuss the topics that inspires entrepreneurs from thought to action. Feel free to give us a call anytime at 347-857-3958 or always go in our chat room right there on Blog Talk and put your questions and information in, and we will get the answers for you as soon as possible. Until tomorrow, we want you to be smart, be successful, and above all else,
be in action.
And Irv and I will see you tomorrow.